LeVar Ball stays in the headlines, saying on FS1 the asking price for a deal with the big baller brand is now up from $1 billion to $3 billion. And he explained that he sees no need to market his products to women. And in regards to his son Lonzo, LeVar has reportedly said he's uncertain if he'll work out with any team besides the Lakers. So with all the drama LeVar causes, Stephen A., should the Lakers consider passing on him with that number 2 pick?
I don't believe that should be the case. And before I even get into that, let me correct myself. I said Kobe was 7-0 in conference finals. He actually, in the last segment, he actually lost one NBA conference finals his second year in the league. Lost the conference finals to Utah. He was coming off the bench, by the way. But let me get back to this with LeVar. I don't believe that they should pass on Lonzo because I don't believe they should hold Lonzo accountable for what his father does. His father obviously is very outspoken. He doesn't mind bringing attention to himself. He believes that's assisting his son. His mentality, as he has said to us on this show, is that the NCAA, sneaker companies and the like never hesitate to exploit the young talent that exists out there. What's wrong with a father taking advantage of that with his son on behalf of their entire family? Why should they be allowed to do it and he not? I think that makes sense, even though, again, there are things that he has done that I wouldn't do. Having said all of that, Max, I need to take this a step further in this regard. I'm watching a lot of folks out there going off about LeVar Ball. I'm one of those people who believes that he needs to chill out, be a bit more quiet, and not go about bringing the attention to his son that he's bringing, because you could be doing your son harm. I've said that on many occasions. However, I would never go as far as some people are going to come across as if he's not a good dad, that he hasn't been a great provider, that he hasn't been a tremendous influence in the life of his son, because you have a lot of kids out there who pray every day that they had a father who believed in them the way this man believes in his son. I do not agree with some of his tactics, as he knows, as everybody knows, because I've said it to his face right on this show. I've said it on radio and television. But I would never denigrate him as a man or as a father. You can have a problem with somebody, what somebody specifically does, without engaging in a character assassination that I have seen people engage in when it comes to him. He doesn't do everything right. He got him trouble yesterday, you know, on FS1 with some of the things that he said. He had no business saying those things that he said, to be quite honest with you. But at the same time, the things that have been said about him are equally offensive, if not more so. And I think it's important to say that.
Well, look, LeVar Ball speaks as though the cameras aren't rolling. That's what makes him interesting. But because he does that, he also reveals some things about himself. For example, a strategy to not intentionally not sell sneakers to women. Women have feet too, you know. Half the feet in the world are owned by women.
Not smart.
And so maybe not a great idea. Not a great idea to immediately alienate 50% potentially of the marketplace. But okay, that's his choice. Should the Lakers draft LeVar Ball, excuse me, Freudian slip, maybe not even too Freudian, Lonzo Ball if he's still there at 2? The answer is absolutely yes, they have to. Because if they believe that he is comparably talented, look, if they think that someone else who's not there, let's say Fultz doesn't get taken and neither does Ball with the number 1 pick for some reason, and they just think Fultz is just clearly better than Lonzo, okay. But if they think it's close between Lonzo and someone else, far from saying, well, LeVar means that you don't take Lonzo. No, actually, you gotta take Lonzo. Because originally, the late, great Dr. Jerry Buss, the greatest owner in the history of American team sports, by far, it's not close. Apologies to George Steinbrenner. I grew up a Yankee fan. It's not close. Dr. Jerry Buss had this dream that not only were the Lakers going to win championships instead of just lose to the Celtics in the finals, which, 10 championships since he bought the team, but that they would do it in an exciting way, that they would be Showtime. So hard to do that, Stephen A., because usually as soon as you take your eye off the ball, in terms of winning, because you want to win with style all of a sudden, now you're not going to win. It's hard enough to win, period. Don't worry about everything else. But the late, great Dr. Jerry Buss was able to do both. And here you have a guard in this draft who is from the area, who went to UCLA, the storied franchise program in the history of college basketball, who wants to play for the purple and gold, wants to play for the Lakers, who has a skill set which, if it's not reminiscent of Magic, which it is in some ways, he's a big guard, he's a brilliant passer, it's at least Penny Hardaway or Jason Kidd or someone like that. And he gives you the chance, not just because of the off-the-court stuff with his dad and the talking and the headlines and everything, though that's something, that's not nothing. He gives you the chance, if he fulfills his potential, to not only help you win, but to win with style, which is what the Lakers are really ultimately always hoping for. And if you're Magic Johnson, you ain't going to pass that up. You can't.
Well, you can't pass it up, number one, because it's a point guard and you don't have much faith in D'Angelo Russell, who they believe is devoid of leadership. Numerous sources told me throughout this season that they are fed up with D'Angelo because they really, really have a problem with his lack of leadership. They know that he can play. They don't know whether he's star power, but they know that he can play. What their problem is that when you talk about being a point guard in L.A., reminiscent of Showtime and what have you, and you see an individual that doesn't seem capable of galvanizing the troops around him and getting everybody to be as one and having that it factor, they go down the block to Westwood at UCLA, and that's all you heard about with Lonzo Ball. You heard about his leadership ability, how guys loved playing with him, how they looked forward to playing with him and watching him put on a show, because usually his greatness facilitated and elevated their level of play because they were beneficiaries of his greatness because of what he would do in terms of feeding them the basketball and what have you. You're Irvin Magic Johnson. That is exactly what you're looking for. I had one of my boys, Champ, talk to me about how they need to take Josh Jackson because Josh Jackson has the potential to be an MJ or a Kobe. I like him a lot out of Kansas. I got to see that to believe that. But I do believe the one franchise that absolutely, positively cannot pass on Lonzo, it's L.A. Because, Max, we got to stop talking about, Showtime or people wanting to put on the show and getting style points as if it's a bad thing. We are in professional sports is a business. It's a multi-billion-dollar establishment. What helped make it that way, Max? Showtime. Magic. It wasn't just the skills of Magic, Worthy, and all of those. It was a show.
Right. Just imagine this. Here's what you have to imagine, the possible counterfactual, right? What if Lonzo Ball is not drafted by the Lakers and turns out to be that guy and was sitting there for the Lakers to take him? Can't do it. Now, if Jackson or someone like that is available and the Lakers in their evaluation of the player says, no, that guy's clearly better, you take the better player. I'm not arguing not to take the better player. But I'm saying if you think it's comparable, then how can you not take that Showtime dude? And by the way, Stephen A., you're right. I hear the same things about D'Angelo Russell, but that don't mean you have to get rid of him. If they draft Lonzo Ball and they have Lonzo and D'Angelo in the backcourt with Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench as your third guard to three-man rotation, D'Angelo can shoot it, he can handle it, he can pass it, and so can Lonzo. Imagine that backcourt.
Let me explain. D'Angelo has a set shot. He's not the kind of guy that moves without the ball, runs off for picks, catches and shoots. That's not the player he's not that guy, and he's not going to be that guy. He's always been about having the ball in his hands. When he came out of Ohio State, I had 2 NBA scouts specifically say to me, Max, he's 4 and 5 steps ahead of everybody in terms of his mindset about basketball. High basketball IQ. He really knows the game. You want the ball in his hands. You can't take the ball out of his hands, give it to Lonzo, and then tell him to be an off guard.
The Lakers have taken the ball out of.
That's not going to work.
They've taken the ball out of him. He's played off ball at times, and I will say, finally, once upon a time, Walt Frazier was the point guard for the Knicks. They went and got Earl the Pearl Monroe. Everyone said there's only one basketball. What are they going to do? What they did was win a championship.
That was 19. How dare you bring that up?
We got to wrap it up.
Hold on, Molly. He just reminded the world of the last time the Knicks won a title, which was 1973.
Very disrespectful.
How could you do that? How could you do that? Max, no, he messed up.
Heartless.
God. No, go to break, Molly. Go to break. You just reminded the world of the Knicks.
Right.
Last title, 1973.
Mark Cuban uses the word tank, and it's not in reference to that popular TV show. We'll tell you why the NBA could come down hard on the Mavs owner. And Tom Brady has taken his fair share of licks in the past, but is it finally catching up to him? We'll talk Tom Terrific, his health, coming up right here on First Take.